Lauren said we might repeat something, and maybe a little, but I think it's repetitive through the whole day. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to begin. There's so much to tell. So I put together just some random snippets. Chris said to keep it within reason. But all of them, as you know, have the common factor of Len. Who am I? Depending who you ask, the answer may vary. I've been involved with Len and the Raptor Trust for over 32 years, since I was a sophomore right here at Drew. I was an intern, I guess before they called them that, getting credits for college. I was a young kid who came over to Len and Diane's often, usually around mealtime. After college, I was a volunteer for almost a decade, every Saturday, going, cleaning cages, doing all of that stuff. Then I became a father and came often with my kids, showing off all that I knew. I was a bander, a hawk bander. I still am. To most now, I'm Jim. I'm a trustee. I get to voice my opinion on occasion. To the Raptor Trust regulars, I heard some of them talking earlier as the old-timers, 30 years ago. And even to Len, 2.5 weeks ago, I'm Slug. I began as Poopsie. And Len thought that was not manly enough for me, so I became Slug. I don't know if that's an upgrade. Len, to me, he's a mentor, a teacher, a crotchety old guy in the swamp. He was brilliant, passionate, loud, introspective, funny, articulate, opinionated. He was a student, and he was a writer, and so much more as you're hearing. And yes, I knew he was an altar boy. He usually told us that after he cursed the blue streak. He was all of these to me. People have asked to describe my relationship with Len over the years, and I told them all. Depending on the day or the time or the occasion, he was my second father. He was my fourth brother. Yes, I have 3 others. He was a pain in the ass, and he was my hero. All the time, he was my friend. The Raptor Trust was very different in the early 80s, but it was, even then, an extension of Len and Diane. The passion was the same, the meticulous care expected of all of us for the birds and the cages and everything around us. But there were about 8 of us. Many are here today, and quickly, just stand up or raise your hand. Jim Henderson is here from Arizona. Chris Lana, Giselle, Bob McDonald, Kathy, she's been here a long time. Who am I missing? John Dean. There's a lot of us who Gene Stamey, it's even on my piece of paper. That's why I have to read. Gene Stamey, Jim Stamey, who's here, believe me. The rules were different. The world was different. There are a few things that defined our group, nicknames being one of them. Endless laughter, we never stopped. And how we disposed of rat carcasses and stuff like that. That's a different story. One thing was a staple. This should be Schaefer or Bush, anything less than $5 a case. But like today, bagel time was sacred. Lunchtime was equally so. We could finish everything by lunchtime back then. And we would spend the morning cleaning and doing all of that. But Saturday was Volunteers Day, and lunch was the best. We pretty much was a discussion and a learning time. This component was critical. It actually started 11 a.m. Someone was responsible to go get the beer and in the refrigerator and bring it out. And we'd finish all our working and raking and cleaning and stealing illegally from the swamp, the perches, which we had to cut down and take out of the national swamp. Before 11, of course, that would be ridiculous. But at 11, it started. The humble beginnings of the 5K race in the swamp, does anybody remember those? We had to do our part. We were on the route, so we set up a water table. We set up at the stop, but our Dixie cups had beer. By the second year, when word got out, we were the stop. And on the way back, people would just ask for the can. But beer drinking aside, I grew up at the Raptor Trust. I think we all did. I learned more about birds and conservation and ecology and life from spending my time there. Among the many things Len introduced me to was the hawk banding project that he began over 40 years ago. And he passed that baton to a group of us, again, some of them here today. He continued as long as he could to participate in that. It's among the longest standing raptor research projects in the United States. We've banded nearly 15,000 hawks. Giselle could probably tell me exactly how many. Since 1970, and our data is used by researchers all over the world. Len loved the mountain, as we called it. It was beautiful. I once told him I was going to ask someone who I knew has influence in the state to see if he could help me name the hill where our site sits. Susie Mountain. Something like that. Len's response, "What are you, a dumbass?" We do our best not to let people know where the banding site is. Name it? Why don't you just build a ski lift and invite all the crazies with you? It was a bad idea. But I think of it that way because his dedication to researching migrating hawks in New Jersey 90 days a year in the fall, long before most people knew that hawks migrated through New Jersey. And all of it is still being used today. He loved to sit in the quiet on his secret mountain perch, watching the wonderful raptors stream by, luring them in, banding many, keeping records on them. Most of all, he loved releasing them back into the wind. And Len wanted to do that for all birds. One of Len's admirers, Marie Wynn, asked me to read something from her book, Red Tails in Love. It's a conversation she had with him, and it's fitting, from page 223. She gave me about 6 chapters to read, but I narrowed it. "We agonize over these birds," he said. "The bird is almost certainly blind in one eye. I suppose I shouldn't tell you this, but I was a hair away from euthanizing this bird." "Why did you end up not doing it?" I asked. He thought for a moment. "I don't know. When I started as a rehabilitator 30 years ago, my purpose was to not euthanize. I wanted to fix them all and let them go back healthy. Some are beyond fixing, however. There was something about this bird. I hope this isn't anthropomorphic, being a scientist, but this hawk looked like it wanted to live, gritting it out, if you will. And I said to myself, let it live." Len kept the bird for a month and 2 days. October 8th, he banded and released the bird from his center in Millington. Less than 1 week later, the hawk was in Central Park eating a fat rat in an oak near Bank Rock Bridge. Marie thought it was an excerpt that represented Len, and I think it does. He believed in second chances. He believed in the underdog. He cared so deeply he wanted to fix everything. He liked making people who came attached to the birds happy. He never tired of releasing hawks and owls back into the wild. It took his breath away every time. I spent a long time trying to find an appropriate quote to end. There are many that were appropriate, but I decided to quote me and Len. This is a story I wrote in 2002 about my first meeting with Len and my first Saturday experiencing all the great old-timers. I remember it like it was yesterday. Len read the story once, and he didn't correct it, so I think I'm safe. I won't read it all. People who read it know it's way too long. "You picked a lucky day to be here. We're going to release her today. Let's walk across the street and set her free." We walked down an old road, and he told me about the Black Brook and the wildflowers growing along the bank. We settled into the middle of a field. He reached out and handed me the red-tailed hawk. I hesitated. He explained how to reach in and hold her without hurting her or me, making the point that not hurting her was much more important. "Now," he said, "take a moment and wish her luck and then toss her gently into the air." The murmur of a half-dozen people wishing her luck and Godspeed followed. I realized he was serious. So I did. I wished her luck and released her. She flapped quickly a couple of times to put distance between her and us, her red tail reflecting brilliantly in the sunlight. We watched quietly for a few minutes as she shook herself in mid-flight. Like a dog shakes off water, she seemed to be ridding herself of us and fixing her feathers to her rightful order. She rose above the tree line, set her wings, and floated out of sight. Because there's some young kids, I will edit. Len broke the silence. Pretty effing cool, huh? There was that old man cursing again with that same twinkle in his eye, but he described it perfectly. Everything is connected, he said. You have to understand the plants and the mice to understand and help the hawks. One needs the other. Ultimately, we need them all. Worms and snakes and bats and foxes and owls all have a reason, and who are we to decide if their reason to exist is important? We should be happy to be here with them. We're just here like them. The advantage we have is we can reason and think, and maybe more important, we have hands to help. So why not use them? The best thing our brains are for is to take in and enjoy all this beauty. Be thrilled by it. We walked back to the house, everyone agreeing with Len's assessment and joking again. I realized I was one of the very few who had experienced such a thrill, and I was lost in it. It was clear now. The release was the success story. The reason for bagels and cleaning, the result of caring and learning and doing. It was simple, and now I knew where the twinkle came from in his eye. I have a vision of Len and his late best friend, Jim Stamey. Reunited, soaring up there somewhere, looking down on all of us, and Len saying, "What the hell did I do?" And Jim simply replying, "You've done nothing but good."